So good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Fortunato. I am Thayer's school. I'm delighted to be with all of you today and to talk a little bit more about the diversity, equity, and inclusion work that's happening at Thayer Academy. I began my Thayer journey a little over a year ago through the interview process. One of the things that so impressed me and moved me was at a time when our nation and our world are in periods of disagreement and strife and discord. Thayer put an important stake in the ground through a DEI-oriented strategic plan that really focused on, in many different elements, but I'd say focused on two very important things that are important to me as an educator and I think to our school. How do we support the most authentic, meaningful sense of belonging among our students? And how do we have our students be prepared for all that life has in store for them in a very sort of complex and changing world? So I've been delighted to see that at a time when those commitments sometimes waver, Thayer as a school has said that we are going to be increasing the diversity of our student and faculty and staff and trustee body, because we know that's fundamentally important to the learning environment, that we are going to create a stronger culture around a sense of belonging, that our students will feel that sense of belonging and feel like they can be their authentic selves, which is a predicate, an important predicate to learning, and that we will delve into topics that around aspects of identity that are often difficult and sometimes painful and challenging, and we're not afraid to talk about the things that are important in the lives of our students, the lives of our community. And so the courage of this community to take on those topics in support of our students, in support of their preparation, in support of their futures is something that I'm very, very proud of being a part of. We have a team of people here today who are going to talk a little bit about the work that we are doing and the work that we aspire to do in the months and years to come, along with a group of students who are representative of many of the really incredibly meaningful and powerful students that we have who support one another and the growth and evolution of our community. So I'm going to turn this over momentarily to Galen Hammond, who is our middle school director. But again, I wanted to express my appreciation for being part of this conversation today and learning more about the connections and the goals of our community that we aspire to achieve on the topics of diversity, equity, inclusion. So with that, Galen, I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce yourself.
Thanks, Mr. Fortunato. Good evening. My name's Galen Hammond, and I'm the middle school director, and I'm delighted to be here with you tonight. I always wish I could see you, though, whenever we're on webinar, but I'm excited that we have this opportunity so that you can see us, and I hope I get to welcome you to campus sometime soon when you are visiting. This is my second year at the middle school, and I just wanted to extend a welcome from us in the middle school. We are currently at 850 Washington Street because we are in the middle of a transformation in the middle school. We are getting a brand new building right now. I think the steel comes up this week, and so we're excited that we'll be moving to a new building for us next year, and I hope I can welcome you there this spring to take a peek around when you visit. I am not going to share too much tonight because I want you to have a chance to hear from our students. I'm delighted that Kaden and Paige are here to represent our middle school, and I know you will be in good hands with them. So welcome, and I'm going to turn it over to Connie Yepes, our Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, my colleague and good friend, and I'm glad she's here tonight to welcome you as well. So I look forward to meeting you throughout this process, and welcome to Thayer. And if you're a middle schooler, I can't wait to meet you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hammond. Before I speak, I would love to throw to Mr. Odom to welcome everyone, and then I will proceed. Thank you, Mr. Odom.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ms. Yepes. Hey, everyone. My name is Brandon Odom. I am one of the Associate Directors of Admission. I'm also the Upper School Assistant Dean of Students and the boys varsity basketball coach. And I guess most importantly, I'm an alum of Thayer Academy, class of 2004. And just super, super excited that we're having this event. To listen to us and experience the ways in which DEI shows up on our campus, in our community, in our curriculum. So I want to just extend a welcome and really just welcome you all to just kind of sit back and listen to the students, the parents, and just the panel and everyone who has something to say for tonight. And I'm going to kick it back to Ms. Yepes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Odom. Hello, everyone. My name is Connie Yepes. I am the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion here at Thayer, and in my first few months of my tenure here. This is a time of transition here at Thayer. There has been a lot in the works in terms of creating new courses and creating a strategic plan for DEI and really setting a course for us to move forward and elevate our game around DEI, elevate the ways in which we interact with each other, the ways that we think about what we teach, how we teach it, how we interact across difference, and how we're preparing students for the world that they're going to go out into when they finish their education here at Thayer. And so I'm really pleased to be a part of that effort and be here in this time of transition. I think it's one of the hallmarks of any school that is committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion, that we embrace change, that we embrace difficult conversations, and that we're really leaning into the ways that we can know better and do better for every member of our community. You're going to hear from students, and I won't go on too long because I really do think that all of the work that we do really lies with student engagement, student agency, student leadership, and their ability to really hold on to kind of the essential components of moving DEI work forward. So you're going to hear about that from them. But I just want to touch on a few things. We really want Thayer Academy to be a place of belonging for all members of our community. And I think that belonging comes through really being seen for all the amazing things that each of us as individuals brings to our community, to our classrooms, to our athletic teams, to our theater productions and classes and interactions. And I really appreciate the ways in which people are thinking about what does that really mean and interrogating what belonging means and the ways that we can make that be true for everyone here. So again, you're going to hear from the students. They are the most important people in our community because they are doing the work. And I'm really pleased to see this group of students on the screen who are going to talk to you about that journey. Academics are also really important to us. And so I'm going to throw it now to Miss Sumter, Lynette Sumter, who is our upper school director of studies. Thank you for being here tonight. You're muted. There you go.
Happens every time, doesn't it? I'm also very happy to be here tonight and happy that you can be here with us this evening. Again, my name is Lynette Sumter. I'm the upper school director of studies. I work very closely with my counterpart in the middle school, Mr. Brian Sibeli, and both of us share the academic forum, which is the academic leadership of the school. And our goal is to align the curriculum from 5th grade through 12th grade on a number of fronts, but that is the sort of meaty work that we do as the academic leadership of the school. And I also teach 9th grade world history. I teach anti-racism and social justice. I teach and oversee, direct the Global Scholars Program. And I will talk to you about those in just a moment. I am going to, and I want to just say that in terms of DEI work, please know that what I'm highlighting are some particular areas that are notable, but just understand our goal in the curriculum, which is about educating students for global citizenship. And part of that is awareness and understanding of the range of cultures that, that we have in our diverse world. And so this is reflected in a variety of the courses that we have. And I would encourage you to look at our academics page for more information in more detail. I'm going to give you a highlight of a couple of things, and I'm going to share my screen with you in just a moment. And I just realized that I need to minimize this little thing here. Okay. So the Global Scholars Capstone Program, which is meant for our 11th graders who are looking to take a deeper dive on global issues. And I'll talk very briefly on these points. It promotes greater awareness of and engagement in global issues by combining interdisciplinary academic learning with application to the real world experiences. These are students who want to do this program in their senior year. So they apply in the 11th grade and then they do it in their senior year. Global scholars come with the spirit of inquiry and a desire to flourish as they deepen their commitment to contribute to the common good. They participate in a fall seminar and a spring capstone experience, choosing a research topic and developing a public sharing component around that topic. They participate in a variety of curricular and extracurricular activities, including lectures, service learning, and international travel. And hopefully that will begin to open up a bit more for our students as time moves on in the midst of the pandemic. We weave active global citizenship more prominently into the fabric of Thayer. A lot of the public presentation has to do with the Thayer community and beyond. And students earn a Global Scholars Diploma designation at graduation. Some of the sample projects that have been done in the past include ghost fishing gear and plastics in the ocean, a recycling initiative for sterile healthcare waste, a podcast taking a deeper dive into human trafficking. And we invited guests from outside to talk about their work on this particular front. Students engaged working with a non-governmental organization on a white paper about preventing non-communicable diseases in Mauritius. And that was actually focused on diabetes in particular. Another student did a project on child labor and fast fashion. What can you do about thinking about the ways in which our purchasing power has to also consider which organizations are using child labor for the labels. The anti-racism and social justice curriculum goals. This is a course that is required for all 9th graders, and they will be taking it next semester. And here are the goals: the deeper understanding of the historical roots of racism, knowledge foundation. We're trying to build an understanding of this concept of race and racism and understanding the historical roots of it so that we can deepen our understanding of the current racial landscape, in particular current events, so that we can see the connection between historical factors and what we see before us every day. The development of an anti-racist mindset and application of practical anti-racist skills. Students do a project at the end of that session where they engage actively in a project to utilize their anti-racist skills that they've developed over the course of that course. Here are a few topics that we cover. There are many, but we cover identity and race. We look at how to have hard conversations, the historical roots, which I mentioned before. We look at arts and literature, economics, and a number of other topics, looking at it through this racial lens. The Common Good is a new course that we've developed for this year, and it is for our 10th and 11th graders. And the goals for that course include an introduction to social justice challenges we currently face locally and globally. And so we've broadened the palette of topics that we will cover in this course for the 10th and 11th graders. And similarly, we do want them to have an application by the end of the course of particular skills. They will develop a strong vision of the common good, and that could be different for each student. So they get to sort of grapple with what is the common good from their perspective. The development of an ethical leadership mindset. So thinking about how can they lead, not only just build their skill set and engage, but also what might be some leadership opportunities for them to engage. Application of ethical leadership skills, and then connections to current campus efforts. We have a number of efforts on campus, whether it be clubs, whether it be a food drive, whether it be the Special Olympics and so forth, but how can we integrate more connections to current campus efforts to contribute to the common good? And then here is a smattering of topics that we take on, which include everything from gender equality. We look at environmental protection, we look at mental health, ableism, quality education, and various other topics in the class. And I'm going to end there. And again, I am very pleased to see you all here, even though I really can't see you either, but I know you're here. And I hope you have a very good time this evening. Feel free to be in touch with me directly with any questions that you have on the curriculum front. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sumter. Next, we're going to have Destiny Palmer, who's in the middle school. Destiny. There you go.
Good evening, everybody. I am Destiny Palmer. I am a visual arts teacher in the middle school and also the DEI coordinator. And I'm going to share a little bit about what has been happening in the middle school. And I still feel, I'll be a little honest with you, I still feel really new to Thayer as I'm just adjusting, and so many things have been changing over the past couple of years in the school, especially due to COVID. But one of the coolest things I'd say is happening here at the middle school is the way that we are finding ways to make space for students to share about who they are and make space to listen to that. And so I think those can happen in such small ways. I'm really excited about our diversity days that happen once a year, where students are invited to share parts of who they are and share with the entire school so we can sit and listen. I'm really excited by the kind of student initiatives that students have had and asked to be supported this year. I think more this year than any other year. Specifically asking, hey, this thing is coming up. I did some research. Can we do it? And then going, yeah, let's do it. Let's figure it out. And so DEI in the middle school looks like that. I think specifically, it's really for the adults in the building, it's thinking about ways that we can investigate our curriculums and thinking about how we make all of our students feel visible and how the students can really start to imagine and understand that other people that are different from them exist in the world, and how we can build empathy to understanding that. I specifically in my curriculum as a visual artist find it really easy to think about arts outside of out in the world, right? Everybody makes art in some capacity. And so it's really exciting. And I often share a moment in my classroom last year where we were exploring these cultural pots from various parts of the world. And one student said, hey, that's my country. I know that country. And so that was really exciting for me to see him be validated in that moment. We were studying Nigeria and making some pots. So I really do enjoy the moments that we have at the middle school. A lot of that happens with our student groups. We now have Middle School Omega back and running. We have Middle School Spectrum, which really is a space for students to make that what they want it to be, and really to build student leadership and those qualities in them. We are starting to re-envision what affinity spaces look like in the middle school and really doing the work as adults to make sure that we can continue to build that sustainable type of space for students to feel seen and heard. I think I'm going to leave it there and pass it on. Thank you.
Awesome. That was great, Ms. Palmer. Thank you so much. And that was a nice segue into our next portion of the evening, which is the favorite part for everyone, the students. And we have some student leaders on the panel tonight. And I'd like for them in just a second to come off of mute and just kind of go through your introductions and introduce yourself, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Caden Taylor. I am in the 7th grade. I came in the 6th grade last year. Some of my involvements at Thayer, I'm from Boston. Some of my involvements at Thayer, I do Omega, Middle School Omega. I was in the Black Infinity space. I do football, basketball, and track in the spring. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Hi, I'm Paige. I'm in the 8th grade. I started at Thayer last year. I live in Randolph. Some of the things that I'm doing besides Omega is Spectrum, the middle school literature magazine, and I'm in the fall play. Some sports that I like to do: soccer, rock climbing, track. That's pretty much it.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nadia Casimajor. I'm currently a sophomore. However, last year was my first year at Thayer, so I came as a freshman. I'm from Bridgewater, and some of my involvements include varsity soccer, varsity track. Last year, I did basketball for the first time. And I'm in Isoken, which Tati is actually the president. She's here. She's president of that club. And I'm also in French club, Special Olympics, and a couple other clubs. And Zach, you can go now.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Zach Gondelman. I am a senior. I came to Thayer back in the 6th grade. Crazy enough, crazy as that sounds, many of the people on this call knew me when. I am from Milton. I serve as the president of Omega, the co-president and founder of our Spectrum student teacher program. I'm a Thayer Academy Global Scholar, and I am involved with all of our musicals and plays on campus.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tatiana. Most people call me Tati, so I am her with ISOCON and stuff. I am in 11th grade and I started coming to Thayer in 6th grade. I live in Hyde Park, and some things I do around Thayer. I'm a VWC fellow. I am part of the board for ISOCON. Can never think of this. I'm in ensemble, and quick shout out to that. We have a concert, 2 concerts next week. If anyone wants to come, Tuesday and Thursday at 7 o'clock. So yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Anna. I'm a senior and I started in 6th grade. I'm from Hingham and I pole vault for the varsity track team. I'm co-president with Zach of the Spectrum student teacher program. I'm a member of stage crew for all of our theater productions. I'm also involved in the musical groups with Tati, so definitely come to our shows next week.
Hey guys, my name is Ross Tejeda. I'm a senior here at Thayer. I transferred my junior year, so I've only been here for 2 years. I'm from Milton. I'm a peer advisor. I'm co-captain for basketball, cross-country captain, track and field captain, co-captain, track and field. I'm an Omega member. I'm also a tour guide, and I'm also a fellow global scholar.
Awesome. Thank you, Ross. And as you can see, all of our students, they are very involved on campus and very much so student leaders around campus. But I want to ask a few questions of you guys, and I know those who are listening would like to gain more insights into some day-to-day for you all and what DEI looks like on campus. So I want to start with our middle school students and just ask, a little bit about your transition to Thayer, and did you feel supported by teachers and faculty, and in what ways? So Kaden or Paige, either order.
I'll start. So my transition was pretty smooth. I had a peer, or kind of like a Tiger guide. We met on FaceTime, and now he's one of my closest friends at Thayer. He's an 8th grader. It's gonna be kind of sad to see him go next year, but it's gonna be good to keep in contact with him. It was kind of my experience. I thought I love to talk. I love to talk to people, so I thought it was gonna be pretty easy, and it was. My teachers made it great for me. Even during COVID, it was kind of a good space to be in, like a warm place that you feel like you can talk about different subjects and different cultures and different classes.
Paige, how about you?
At first, my transition into Thayer was a little difficult. It was the second time that I had moved schools in 2.5 years, so I was nervous that I wouldn't be able to find like a group of friends or a group of people to fit in with. But contrary to my worries, I learned very quickly that everyone at Thayer, from students to faculty, they're all very welcoming. I mean, like peers offered spots in conversation and were very inclusive. Teachers, most of which, or some of which didn't even teach me, were giving me guidance and help on homework or clubs or summer things that I wanted to do. And I am extremely thankful.
Awesome. Great. And I'll ask that question of the upper school students as well. Let's bring that question up to the upper school students.
Can you just repeat the
I can
question?
go first.
Sorry, yeah, I'll throw the question out again. No worries. So basically, just talk a little bit about your transition, right? And what your transition was like, and if you felt supported. Like, did you feel supported by your faculty, your peer advisors, things like that?
Yeah. So I've been to a couple schools in my life, and so I know like a thing or two about transition and how hard it can be.
Mhm.
Like for me, change is hard. And I know for a lot of other people, change is hard too. However, Thayer made my transition really smooth. I felt comfortable, and right away, like it feels like I've been at this school for so many years and it's only my second year here. And the community and family, like it's just they're so welcoming. And obviously you're nervous when you go to a new school. That's how I was. But seeing people like me, joining Isokin, it helped like calm my nerves, and being around people that look like me, it just made me feel more relaxed and like I belonged in a space where I could be myself.
One thing I'll just add to that that's so true, Nadia, and that as I reflect back on my Thayer experience, I'm a firm believer that we do school as a team sport. As in, we really are a sort of all hands on deck type of upper school and middle school community for that matter. And, Ross and I are both peer advisors, and we take a lot of the same classes being global scholars together. And I think there's no cooler thing than us having one of our peer advisees just run up to us and give us a high five right in the middle of, right as we're transitioning into global scholars, or when we're in lunch and we're like, look, there's one of our freshmen who we taught where the bathrooms were, right? Like there is really that sort of communal magic happening here. And so what is so awesome about when we get new students every year is the way in which they're sort of embraced and welcomed right in to the great love that is this community in all of those cool kinds of ways. And particularly in our upper school community, there's so many interesting sort of nooks and crannies that make up this large thing. So people sort of come right on in with open arms in a really cool way.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Like, my old school tripled the amount of students that we have here at Thayer. So when I came to Thayer, I was like overwhelmed with the amount of attention that the teachers are giving me. Like typically, like you'd have to go to teachers and like ask them for stuff. But if a teacher felt like you were struggling in a class, they'd come to you, they'd email you personally, be like, hey, look, this and that, like, let's talk about it. I just thought that was pretty cool. And another thing we do at Thayer is we have meetings like every Tuesday. Not like every Tuesday. We have meetings every Tuesday. And so we all kind of go into the auditorium, and we like talk, and we kind of like, just discuss what's going on throughout the week. And another cool thing that we do is like, whenever there's like, for example, fall sports just ended. So we were just kind of like giving out awards to like all the athletes and stuff that were like, just had accomplishments throughout that season. And it's really cool to like see like, the passion that kids put into their sports and just the accomplishment. And I think that just kind of like fosters just sort of like a closer community amongst the students and amongst the teachers. Cause it's just like, oh, like I didn't like, how many kids came up to me like, Ross, I didn't know you ran cross country. Zach being one of them. Yeah. He was like, I didn't know you ran cross like this and that. And it's just like, we're all just like more involved in each other's lives. And I think that's like, honestly, like an ingenious way of doing it. And it's something I've never really seen in my other school. And it was just something that blew me away personally.
Thank you, Ross.
I'll talk about my transition from middle school to high school because sixth grade was like forever ago. I know, like, I remember being super nervous going to the high school, like, more buildings, more people, way more important. Like, yeah, I was really stressing out. But like, just everyone was like so warm, and, having a peer advisor in ninth grade, like, was really helpful because, you can talk to teachers, and the teachers that there are great, but like, it's more impactful when it's like someone closer to your age, telling you, hey, this is the way to go. And like, someone older to say hi to, like in the hallways, like, I felt really special having seniors like, hey, Tati, it's really nice. And I do know and remember that was actually the first year that ISOCON started, which is our Black Student Union on campus. And that was really another thing for me that kind of really helped me like get going, I guess, helped me open up. It was just really nice to like talk to people and know like people are having the same experiences, and just kind of like, another community to be a part of, I guess. And it really helped me open up. So yeah.
Thank you, Tati. Anna?
And jumping off what Tati said about that transition from middle school to high school, one of the most welcoming things was being involved in clubs. And I really, there's one day in the fall where everyone gets outside onto the teardrop, which is this big green grass space, and all the clubs are have tables set up, and it's probably one of the most fun days of the fall, getting to sign up for clubs you really are interested in, signing up for clubs just because your friends are going to be there and you can't wait to hang out with friends. They're also a great way to meet new people. I've met so many people from the Spectrum Club, which is our LGBTQ and allies affinity space. So the clubs have really been a great aspect of support at Thayer.
Awesome, thank you, Anna. I want to kick it back to the middle school students really quickly, and just can you let the folks know just how does diversity, equity, and inclusion in the middle school? How are you guys learning about DEI work in the middle school? And can we let's start with Paige this time.
In the middle school throughout the year, days, weeks, and sometimes even months are dedicated to helping students learn more about history, different cultures, countries, holidays, and more. We learn through music, art, and sometimes even our own acquaintances. Events are held where we can absorb and experience the customs and traditions of those around us. And this makes it possible for us to connect with our community even more.
Awesome. Thank you, Paige. What about you, Kaden?
Kind of like adding on to what Paige said in the beginning, like days, specifically the diversity day. Last year, my first diversity day, we watched it from Zoom, and even over Zoom, I felt like a presence of, okay, like I want to know, like seeing different people's cultures and ethnic backgrounds, seeing their different places where they come from. And that made me kind of want to explore where I'm from and like wanting to know more about my culture. So maybe one day I could perform at a diversity day.
That's awesome. Thank you, Kaden. And for any of the upper school students, just in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion, how do you guys feel, the school is doing on that front in the work that's being done here? Where do you guys see progress being made in particular?
Here, I can start again. So I feel as though the faculty and staff at their academy, they're constantly educating students and further informing them of like diversity, equity, and inclusion. And like Ms. Sumter mentioned, we take courses anti-racism for 9th graders, and for 10th and 11th graders, there's the common good. And so it just really like educates, like I said, students and further informs them of what's going on and how to help, ways that they can help and be more included. And then teachers are also always open to talk, and they're reliable sources for students to go to whenever they feel the need to talk.
Thank you, Nadia.
I'm happy to sort of pick off there, which is to say, I feel like we are doing diversity on every front. Miss Yepes and I joke about this all the time, which is that really is that spirit of like, yeah, okay, let's do it, that Miss Palmer mentioned earlier, that is just the breadth of our upper school, whether that is our Omega Club, which is meeting all the time, our Gay Straight Alliance, our student teacher program that Anna and I have spearheaded over the past couple of years, which, I think that's sort of the other piece of the upper school diversity, which is that it is absolutely student driven. And not only is it student driven, it is student led. It's student driven with immense support, not only for us as leaders, but for the programs we're doing. And boy, oh boy, I could talk to you for hours about them. I couldn't list them all if I tried. We are firing off on every sort of side, whether that's working with Miss Sumter and talking about science curriculum and stuff like that and really digging into it, or whether that's creating the Student Teacher Program Fellowship, which is a chance for our juniors and seniors to learn from our faculty on how to present to other students and lead discussions in LGBTQ plus education. And we launched our inaugural cohort this year of 35 upperclassmen, both straight folks and LGBTQ plus folks, who wanted to go back into the Thayer community and teach and lead those discussions. And so for me, that's like the most Thayer thing, which is we're all working on it. It's happening in 1,012 places in the most wonderful way, in an incredibly supportive environment for us as student leaders and for us as all students.
Thank you, Zach.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I kind of wanted just to add on to like the immense support he was talking about. So it was about, I would say, wow, today it's December. Geez. So 2 months ago. Wow. We a couple of Latinx members and I, we did a presentation on Hispanic Heritage Month. And we basically just kind of spoke about, like our culture, our experiences. And we also, we spoke about like Hispanic figures throughout history. And one thing that I found like genuinely, like I was like dumbfounded, because this is like my first real year, considering COVID was last year. I gave my speech and I spoke about my family and about my culture and the food and the dancing, and people just kept coming up to me after and they were like asking me like, hey, how do you make this? And you don't know how many like just like ingredients I'd have to like explain to people, like, oh, you cook it like this. And it's just like people are genuinely interested. And I've had a couple friends send me pictures of like their attempt, and it's like, like you can tell like kids actually want to like, kind of they really want to be involved. They really want to like create that relationship, and just kind of I just found it super interesting and just super fun. Like I gave the speech, I didn't really think anything of it, but then like people were like really like they were asking me how to dance bachata, how to dance salsa, and I'm like, now I'm over here in the middle of the hallway, and I'm like, okay, 2 steps to the right, 2 steps to the left, and they're telling me like, okay, I'll come to you like a week from now, I'll show you how I did, and it's just super fun. And again, it just reinforces the idea of having this community, just kind of just that tight-knit community of everyone just really being involved in everyone else's lives and just understanding everyone's identity and just their culture. And I just find that awesome, just fantastic.
Awesome, Ross. And I would say, Ross, you did an amazing job that day. And I'm still waiting on my dance lesson as well.
I got you, don't worry about it.
Anyone else on that question?
Can I just hop in and say,
Please.
Ross, I love that you named that, because that just the fact that we sat in my office and we were kind of preparing for that was beautiful, thinking about the stories that we were going to tell, and who was going to be a part of that presentation. But then when you all did it, there was this level of vulnerability that was beautiful to see. And it was so great to see your peers. And there were hundreds of students, right, in that auditorium, listening to you all tell your stories of your families and your culture. And that was a beautiful moment. And I will also say, for the middle school diversity day, that was a beautiful moment of young people standing up in front of their peers and sharing their own countries of origin, talking about Diwali, talking about a bar mitzvah, talking about food that they eat during the holidays, that kind of thing. And it was a beautiful thing, as well as musical performances. So these are the kinds of things that we really want to do at Thayer, is celebrate all the ways that we each bring something unique to the community. So thank you, Ross, for that kind of highlighting of something that was really enjoyable to you.
Same. And I'd like to throw this question to our middle school students, just keeping with this theme of community. I'd like to know what does community mean to you, and how does Thayer live up to your assessment of community?
I can go.
Go ahead, Paige, you got it.
To me, community means, well, it's there. Community to me means inclusion, family, communication, and choosing to understand what others might be going through. Community means helping when the outcome doesn't always benefit you, and it also means to inspire, support the people you're with, and never put anyone down.
That was deep. Thank you, Paige. Caden?
So at first, before I was at there, I never understood what community meant or what community was. At my old school, I didn't have any events like Diversity Day or events that I could kind of get to see other people sharing about where they're from. So I never really understood what community was. I was like living somewhere that was kind of a community, but I never understood what a real community was until I got to Thayer, understanding like a community can be anything. There's no real definition of a community. It can be your family, it can be your friends, or even people that you go to school with every day. You see them in the stairway every day, right next to your locker. So they kind of taught me that community can be anything, and it just so happens that mine's just there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Great job, Caden. And I'll pose that question to the upper school students and just ask, following up, why did you choose Thayer to be your community in particular? So how do you define community, and why did you choose Thayer to be your community? We'll wrap it up there.
Well, when I think of community, I think of like support, and I just can't stress enough at Thayer how like supportive everyone is of each other's passions, and just like it's honestly really great. Like, we had a showcase for the play, and everyone was clapping at the end and just like, oh, like, wow, you guys did such a great job. And usually in normal years we'd have a concert and everyone's just like, oh, it's amazing, and people are just so willing to help. And like, yeah, I think the better question for me would be why I continue to like choose Thayer to be my community. And I think just because like, honestly, at this point, I can't really see myself being anywhere else. Like, I don't know. I feel like it took me a while to kind of find my place out there, but once I like figured it out, and once I kind of like adjusted to it and like really kind of got a sense of that school spirit, that was just seeping through the walls, like, I just I can't see myself anywhere else. And I feel like anyone else, you all might agree with me, at this point, like where else are we going to go, to be honest? So, yeah.
I definitely agree with Tati. Also with her definition, I literally wrote down on my little notes, community is a group of people who support you. So the reason I've chose to stay in this Thayer community is just because of the great opportunities at Thayer. There's a lot of things that I've been able to get involved in that I don't think I would have ever even thought existed elsewhere. A few of those things, I guess, would be pole vaulting and track, the Spectrum Student Teacher Program with Zach. It's been incredibly rewarding to kind of give back to the Thayer community in that way. So having those people that support me has really been what why I continue to love Thayer. So
100%. I think that really, to me, community is a group and a place and a people that you can go to when you are in your best and in your element, and when your dog has been barking till 1 a.m. and you're not having a good hair day, from both ranges. And for me, that is also why I've continued to choose there and to choose to be a part of this community. I think in addition to being, an incredible living, breathing group, we're a group that really loves joy, that like leans into it, whether that is tap dancing our faces off for our classmates, or learning how to salsa dance with Ross on 3rd floor Main, or grabbing a donut during one of Mr. Fortunato's kindness days. We're a community that really leans into that intangible magic. And what has always impressed me about Thayer is the people want to be there, and everyone is choosing to be there over and over again. And the way in which people come together and support each other is just unparalleled. And it comes from students, it comes from faculty. And when you walk in the door to see a group of faces that light up when you get there, and to watch that happen for everyone who comes in that room, for me, is the magic of Thayer. It's just awesome.
Yeah, and kind of just to add on to that, I know we've all mentioned how community is a place that lifts people up. But another thing I've noticed, especially being a part of numerous sports teams, is it's also a place that holds you accountable. You know, just kind of like being a part of like, you know, basketball games or like meets and stuff. I noticed like I personally, I'm sometimes a little too hard on myself if I don't perform at the level that I want to be. And I've noticed that like, just, it sounds weird, but just going one day, like I'd rather not just, as opposed to just staying home, be like, oh, I'm really mad at myself. I just want to stay home. I'm like, I want to go to school because I want to see my friends in the hallways, because I just always just feel much better because, you know, regardless of how I perform, there's always kids that are like, again, because everyone's so involved, everyone goes to all the games, everyone just goes to everything. They're like, oh, you did very, very well, you know, this and that. And it's just like, it just uplifts me and motivates me to do much better. So, you know, regardless of how I do, it makes me feel better that I know that I have people who are there. And I even have friends who are like, hey, look, you know, you could have done better on this, better on that. And that doesn't even work with like, that's not necessarily only athletics, but also academics with teachers. You know, they hold you accountable, and if they feel like you're not performing to your best potential, they're there to push you and motivate you to do so. So that's just something that I found very rare, and I just loved it. And that's not possible. That's exactly why I chose Thayer.
Nadia, do you want to take us home?
Yes, I will close this up. So like I mentioned earlier, I've been to a couple schools in my life, and I can proudly say that there has definitely been like one with the tightest community and the one I felt closest to. You know, everyone, it just makes it feel like a family. And this has happened a countless amount of times where I'll just say hi to someone in the hallway and the next day we'll be like best friends. Like I just make every single day I'm making new friends, just saying hi to random strangers. Doesn't matter what grade they're in. I just like half the people here, I didn't know last year. Now I'm like pretty close with them. Not close, but we talk a lot when I see each other in the hallways. And the relationships that you grow from sports and clubs, it's great. And it's like you can be friends with people, not just in your grade, but from other grades, older, younger, anyone. And you feel close with them.
Awesome. Thank you, Nadia. Thank you. Listen, I want to just say thank you for all the students who have shared your insights and your perspectives about your experience at Thayer. We have some seniors on the call. This is your last year, but we want to thank you for everything that you do and that you continue to do. Before we wrap up for questions, and for those of you who are listening, please feel free to put some questions in the Q&A and in the chat. And you guys should know that people have been writing nothing but very positive things about the students and the way you guys deliver. So thank you. Before we leave, I want to introduce our parent, one of our parent ambassadors, Mrs. Perry, who's on the call. I'd like for her to just kind of share her perspective and some of the roles that she has here on campus. So Ms. Perry, can you?
Yep. Hi. Thank you, Brandon. Hi, everyone. My name is Sharice Kelperry, and I have two children at Thayer, both of whom are in the 10th grade. We started at Thayer last year in the middle of COVID, and there weren't that many opportunities for building community for parents, but this year is a different story, and we're really working hard to do that. I'm also the DEI coordinator for TAPA, which is a Thayer Academy Parent Association. And the DEI coordinator was a position that was started last year. I stepped into that role last year, and as a part of Thayer's strategic plan for racial equity and social justice. And so we've been doing a lot of work the goal is to build community through a lens and communal learning of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging for parents and guardians. And so we've been doing a lot. This year, we've been able to really get together and do a lot of that community building. We have a ISOCON, Black Student Union Family Gathering coming up, which is similar to the one we did for Omega. And my daughter is on the Omega board with Zach. And that they usually do a potluck every year for families. That's the social justice group, the diversity and social justice group. And this year was so nice just to get together and be in community. And I remember I was talking to someone, and one of the best comments was that she said, "This is life-giving." And it was so true. And so my goal is to create more moments like that for parents and guardians with this role. So we also have affinity groups for parents and guardians. We have parents of color, LGBTQ affinity group, and I facilitate SEED with Ms. Yepes, which stands for Seeking Educational Equity and Diversity. And we invite parents and guardians to commit to a year, and we meet once a month, and we discuss all aspects of identity, culture, and through our own experiences. And the goal is that once we are able to see ourselves better, then we can shine that light out and see others better and become social justice warriors. So hopefully we can continue to do that. And we have so many other great things planned for this year and for more to come. And I'm always open for questions for other parents if you want to hear about my experience and my children's experience as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Mrs. Perry. I am in this moment right now. I have to be like fully honest and transparent. I am so just elated about this community and being a part of this community. And just to know that these are the people who I get to see on a daily basis and work with, and the students that we get to work with. I'm just so proud of all the work that you all are doing and all the work that we are continuing to do. We are not perfect by any means, but we are working towards a vision of what we want to see our community as currently and for their future for families who are coming into to this community. I want to thank you all for being here. Before I hop off or we hop off, I'd like to introduce our Director of Admissions, who will have a slide for some next steps. But I'd like to give him an opportunity to just say a few words before we get off. Mr. White.
Thank you so much. And thank you all to our awesome students. And we hope all of you at home have enjoyed meeting them and hope that you can see potentials and possibilities for yourself in this amazing community. You know, Thayer celebrates the gifts that students bring, but also creates, as you know, a wonderful community. I'm pleased to let you know that Thayer is committed from the head of school to the trustees on down to the admissions office and really the whole community to continuing to expand our representation. We took a huge step forward last year with 45 new BIPOC students for an all-time Thayer high of 22% or 150 new students of color in our community. And we want to take a similar giant step forward this coming year. And so we're excited about your candidacy. We want to work with you. We want to help you facilitate your applications. And hopefully you guys will get to meet all of those students here on the call at some point during your visit to Thayer. So I'm just going to throw up a couple of slides here. At the very end, you can take a shot of it with your cell phone if you want. It's we have contact information for everybody on the call if you'd like to reach out to them personally. And we have a little timeline of upcoming events and so forth. So next steps, if you're in the admissions process, it would be great if you haven't yet to schedule your tour and interview by calling us. Sign up for the ISEE or the SSAT if you haven't yet. Note that our admission and financial aid deadlines are January 15th. And we have some nice upcoming events. A couple of our students here are playing in our bands next week on Tuesday and Thursday evening at 7 o'clock. And you all are welcome to come. No tickets available. Everybody wears a mask, but come. We have 10 bands and 3 choruses. Come and enjoy the music. You're totally invited. And we have some other upcoming events, including our winter open house, if you haven't visited the campus yet, on January 4th. But once again, on behalf of everybody, I can't thank you enough for spending the time with us this evening. And we look forward to working closely with you in your applications.
Awesome. Thank you. And one more thing before we go, there was a question. I want to make sure that it's answered. And any of the students, feel free to answer this, this question. But basically it was, what would be, nope, here we go. If you could change or modify one thing at Thayer to make the experience better, what would it be? Awesome question.
I am happy to jump in here and say more time. We do not have a 40, much to many people's chagrin on this phone call, we don't have a 40-hour school day, and time is so often the commodity in everything we do. So I would just say, you know, so much of being an upper schooler is about learning and figuring out in community what matters most to you and prioritizing and getting all of that done. And so boy, oh boy, do I wish we had the 40-hour school day. But it's also really impressive what we're able to squeeze. And I see Ms. Sumter laughing because it's so true. This was actually the Global Scholars discussion of the week. Could it happen? No, it can't. We squeeze a lot in. So that would just be the one thing I say. You can't do everything, but sort of the magic of high school is figuring out where do all those things live and how do you still have a joy-filled day?
Anyone else? That was a great one. Anyone else?
I'm gonna have to agree with Zach on that one. Time is definitely something that I think we'd have to I don't think we'll be able to add, because like I think about it now, maybe having an extra hour of classes might not be the best thing, but definitely just study halls so I can get my homework done.
Awesome. Awesome. Hopefully, Ms. Hammond, you hear that. Kaden wants more study hall time.
I did hear that. I did hear that.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you all for all the comments and questions that you all are sending our way and the positive vibes. Please be on the lookout for our upcoming admissions events. Be well, be safe, be healthy, and see you all soon. Thank you.